What is dividend yield? The dividend yield is the yearly dividend amount expressed as a percentage. It tells you, on a percentage basis, how much you will make in dividend payments over the course of a year. For example, if a stock has a dividend yield of 5%, that means you will receive 5% of your original investment back as dividend payments over 1 year's time. To calculate the dividend yield, you would take the current dividend amount and divide by the stock's current price. So why is this useful then? Well, basically every stock out there will have a different price and different dividend payment when compared to other companies. So what this does is it allows you to compare different companies and still understand how much you will receive in dividends. It sort of levels the playing field between different stocks so you can compare the dividends in an apples to apples sense. As an example, if stock A has a dividend yield of 3%, whereas stock B has a dividend yield of 5%, you know that stock B will pay you more in dividends, even though stocks A and B have different prices and different payouts respectively. In general, a stock with a higher dividend yield will give you more bang for your buck than a stock with a lower dividend yield. Okay, now that we've covered that, where can you find the dividend yield of a stock then? First, what you want to do is pull up the stock you want to look at on a stocks information app or website such as Yahoo Finance. Then find the financial metrics section where they list various metrics such as market cap, volume, dividends, etc. And the dividend yield should be listed here. You're looking for a percentage, so keep that in mind and you should be able to find it easily. If you can't find it or it isn't listed, remember that you can always do a quick calculation by hand to figure it out. Just take the current dividend amount, divide by the current stock price, and there you go, you have the dividend yield. It's usually somewhere between 1 and 6% depending on the stock. Something to keep in mind here is that the dividend yield will change on a daily basis depending on the current price of the stock. There are two factors that will affect the dividend yield, the stock price and the current dividend. First, let's see how a change in price can affect the yield. Let's start by illustrating a simple example here where Ryan's Burger Shack currently has a price of $50 per share and pays a $1 dividend. Currently, the dividend yield will be 2% since $1 divided by $50 equals 2%. Let's say that over time, Ryan's Burger Shack does well and the stock price increases to $75 now. Remember that Ryan's Burger Shack still pays a $1 dividend, so let's find the yield now. $1 over $75 now equals 1.33%, so the dividend yield has decreased. So why is this the case? Well, before you only had to pay $50 in order to secure the $1 dividend. Now you need to pay $75 to secure that same $1 dividend. Since you have to pay more for the shares for the same payment of $1, the dividend yield decreases, meaning less bang for your buck. Inversely, if the price of Ryan's Burger Shack had declined to $25, down from $50, we would see the dividend yield increase. In this situation, we would only have to pay $25 for that same $1 dividend, so the yield has come up to 4%, since 1 divided by 25 is 4%. The other factor that can affect the yield will be if the company raises or lowers the dividend payment. This is pretty straightforward. If the company raises the dividend, your yield will increase, and if the company lowers the dividend, your yield will decrease. So let's keep going with our example here. Remember, the original price per share is $50 and the dividend payment is $1 for a dividend yield of 2%. If Ryan's Burger Shack now increases the dividend up to $3, you still pay the same $50 a share, but have secured $3 in dividend payments. Here, the yield would be 6%, since 3 divided by 50 would be 6%. More bang for your buck. Okay, great. So now we just want to look for a stock that pays the highest dividend yield, right? Well, no, not necessarily. A stock that pays an abnormally high dividend yield, something like 10 to 15% say, does not automatically make it a good investment. If we think back to the example where the price of Ryan's Burger Shack had gone down, it made the dividend yield go up. So in the event where a company pays a very high yield, like something over 10%, we should be very cautious before investing in this company. It is most likely that the company has run into financial trouble lately, and the stock price has been declining as a result. When a company is paying something like a 10% dividend yield, this is usually not seen as sustainable for the company, as they are paying far too much in dividends. Not always, but usually, this is when we would see the company reduce or discontinue their dividends altogether. If you were to invest in this company prior to a dividend cut, this is bad news. Investors do not like dividend cuts, so dividend cuts almost always send the stock even lower. Use caution when investing in high dividend yield stocks for these reasons. As a final note here, I should also mention that low dividend yields do not automatically make a stock a good investment either. If we have a look at Apple, they are currently paying about a 0.7% dividend yield. This is pretty low. It just so happens that Apple has had a great run over the past 20 years, so if you invested at any point in the last 20 years, it would have been a great investment. Just keep in mind that dividend yield alone does not tell the full story. Dividend yield is just one tool an investor has in their toolkit to evaluate a stock, and is by no means an absolute decider of good or bad investments. It should be used in conjunction with many other metrics before deciding if a stock is worth investing in or not.